morning, everybody. Welcome to Barely Filtered. This morning, I have brought my sister Sophie here, but I'm just going to do a little intro before she enters the room. And she still doesn't get this whole intro thing. She's actually sitting right there and still trying to... Anyway.
Just don't want to make the people wait any longer for what they've been asking for.
Yeah. So per usual, we'll just do a little life update before we jump into what we have already recorded. And I am going to apologize in advance because it's a little dark. We basically talked about everybody from Hernandez Brothers to P. Diddy to Scott Peterson, who is now a part of the Innocence trial because evidently maybe he didn't do that. I don't know. So I'll update you a little bit on what's going on in my life. So I went to delete my Raya app. I'm like, I'm going to take a little break from this. And I was like, okay, well, before I do that, I'm just going to see what connections I have. Like to a bunch of people. End up connecting with this guy. He's an artist. So I'm going to go out on a coffee date, but I'm not dating anybody right now. And I'm kind of enjoying not dating anybody. It's a little lonely, but lonely is better than drama, and drama is just ain't nobody got time for that. The co-parenting thing really kicked me in the butt this weekend. My son is starting football. Well, he does football, and between the sports, I have to always me and my ex-husband, the father of my children, our communication needs to be so on point all the time, because between uniforms and schedules and everything and emails and school and keeping them happy and keeping them fed and keeping blah, 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 all this stuff, it's very overwhelming. And what I've realized is that because it is really hard, the minute somebody comes in with a judgment, which lately I've been getting, I told you last week, the one person was telling my sister that, Aurora, didn't drop Remy off for his first day of school. And then also Mike, my ex-husband, was mad at me because I didn't know what field Remy's practice was on Saturday because he didn't tell me. He's in charge of sports, not me. Anyway, I'm just feeling one thing that I'm really practicing right now is not defending my life to other people who just will not get it. People don't understand that it's hard to be a single parent. They're never going to understand exactly what you're going through. And adding on that extra level of feeling like you owe anybody an explanation about why you're feeling the way you're feeling is it's wasted energy. And that is what I'm trying to, that is my lesson for myself this week, because I found myself in just a really heavy place of feeling like too many, even if it's not what is happening, if you get one person that you feel like is judging you, two people you feel like judging you, and then now the third person might not even be judging you at all, but you're already in that space of feeling defensive, you're just perpetuating this narrative. And that's what I am trying to work on right now. It's just you don't understand what I'm going through. You don't understand my life. You don't understand what's hard for me, and I don't understand what's hard for you. So let's just all not judge each other. Let's start with that, because we're all fighting something that's really hard to us. And I feel I don't know what it is about this time of year, but every time it starts to fall leading into winter, it just feels like there's a whole lot of drama and heaviness of personal stuff. And that's kind of what I'm dealing with now. But you know what would have made it worse? A bad relationship. And I'm not dating anybody right now. So that's good. So one of the ways that I feel like I've been trying to relax is by watching these murder mystery documentaries, and evidently that says something about you. If you relax by watching true crime, that you might be deranged and need to seek help. But one of the things that I do is just bring in my sister on the podcast so we can hash out the different murder mystery, and unfortunately these are real life situations that we're dealing with right now, like the P. Diddy thing. So I have Sophie here today, and we're just going to go right into that and talk about what's going on in this crazy world of ours right now. I see that you've switched the the emphasis.
You
switch the emphasis from blush to brows. Is it now?
Are my brows good today?
They're just
You know what
done.
I did?
They're done.
Yeah, I don't always do them, but I did them today.
But you're not doing the blush like you usually do.
Well, yeah, because I knew I was going to be around you, so I really toned it down for your comfort. Being a people pleaser.
Did you send me that blush thing of like we're just gonna add blush?
I love that girl. She's so funny.
She sent me an Instagram video that was some girl just being like, we're just gonna do a little extra blush on you, and she ended up looking very blushed. Okay, so we have a lot of things to talk about today. Man, I feel I had a therapy session this morning, and like I just feel all like triggered all over again because, well, Nikki, my manager who sits in that corner trying to trigger me has triggered me this morning, except then she called us an overachiever, so now I feel happy again.
That's true, she did.
Because she said that when I'm not dating, I'm more on it. Well, actually, I like to hear that feedback. That's feedback. I'm not gonna look at her because she's
Wait,
not.
that's funny because people will always ask me like, so how's your sister's? How's Aurora? I'll be like, oh, she's great because she's not dating.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
She's great. She's not dating right now.
Why don't you guys tell me that I just shouldn't date? Although I did kind of start just yesterday. I had a phone conversation with somebody. He's an artist. Like a
What kind?
like paints and stuff.
Oh, I was like, a dancer?
No, I don't know. No, he's just an artist. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not dating. I might get a coffee with him, but I am liking not dating right now. Coffee's not a date, right?
No, but I hate those types of, like when a first date is you want to get coffee, I don't like it.
Why? You're like, I need to get drunk.
No, it's just like middle of the day. What is it going to turn into a 2-hour coffee and then my day is gone? Like I want to know that this is like, I have nothing else after this. You know what I mean?
In case it turned into more?
Well, in case, no, but just like, I don't know, midday, like be right back. I have to go on a date. I'll be back in a couple hours. Like that's weird to me. I just want like the peace of mind that like I don't have.
I know, but what's worse is committing to like a full meal of dinner with somebody that you don't know.
Yeah, but I almost feel like it's more weird if you have to run out of a coffee date because what's your excuse? I gotta shit. Like I gotta go.
No, you
the
can
coffee hit. Gotta get out of here.
I mean, I can always make up a kid excuse, but yeah, I guess you'd have to. You could say you had plans.
That's true.
After. You could just be like, this is done. We're done. This is all I signed
Yeah,
up
I don't
for.
know. It's personal preference.
It is personal preference. So yeah, I mean, my dating life. I was making fun of Olivia to Nikki, the manager over here, who's triggering me this morning because I was saying that she called me yesterday. She's like, "Do you do email? Do you open your emails? Do you answer your emails?" I'm like, such a rude question. I'm like,
how dare you ask me that?
Yes, I answer my emails. I work and I have 2 kids. Like, clearly, if you don't, people who don't have kids just don't know. It's like the amount of sports emails I get, teacher emails I get. Like,
oh, that's giving me anxiety.
Like, I mean,
I've never thought of this before.
I need to open my emails. Yes, I open my. And then she's like, okay, well, because we're going to do this Ritz-Carlton cruise that Olivia had a connection for. We're going to do it at the end of November. And she's like, can you take over on this email chain? Because I'm just like, I'm trying to get pregnant. I'm dealing with like all the houses. Because like,
I
she
thought you
just
meant
bought a
Nikki.
house.
I was like, you're trying to get pregnant?
No, Olivia. And then in my head, and then I was like, yeah, that's fine. Totally. I got it. No worries. And then like we hung up. And then I was like, when like you get off a conversation with somebody and you're just like, why do I feel like low-key annoyed right now? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because she was just acting like her trying to get pregnant.
So you're having sex.
She's so much busier
Sorry,
than me.
I can't answer an email because I have to have sex. That makes no sense.
I do get that. Like, I can't imagine having to run like she has quite a few properties right now that she's trying to put together, and like she just bought a house. That sounds like overwhelming, sure.
Yeah.
But like, note to just like all people in the world, don't ask a request starting with like a justification of why I'm busier than you and my time is more important than you, therefore can you do this? Like, I would be much more receptive to her just being like, I'm having a hard time right now, can you please take over this email?
Exactly. It's condescending. It's like for whatever reason, and then never ask for a favor after being condescending to someone. You're just not now like I don't want to.
Now I'm just annoyed also.
Yeah.
Like, but you know what I mean, anyway, so she's not here to defend herself, so we're just gonna stop right there, I guess. But
she can't be here. She has to get pregnant.
yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing to get pregnant? I did write her afterwards. I was like, okay, maybe she's like having trouble getting pregnant. I mean, I know she just got her IUD out, so like she's
she was just that was just a random excuse, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
she's literally not with him right now.
Her to
she's in Rhode Island, so this
like,
isn't happening.
You up, babe? No, she. Yeah, I'm like, you should do acupuncture, because acupuncture really did help me.
I honestly think
balance my hormones.
That was just her trying to think of the most valuable excuse, and she picked that one because
I think she's just feeling overwhelmed right now. Yeah, that's fine. You can feel overwhelmed without having to like justify why you're more overwhelmed than what you assume, how you assume my overwhelm level is. I just can't. I truly cannot. Yeah. Anyway, so should we talk about Diddy?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about him, I'll be honest, other than just like what comes on my feed.
I know. That's kind of what I've been getting too. But the Perez Hilton one, usually like I draw the line. And by draw the line, I mean like I can't physically bear to hear or watch about like anything that has to do with children and being abused, molested, horrible. And then today we were like, okay, let's talk about the Menendez brothers and Diddy. And so I was doing a little bit of research last night. Maybe that's why I'm like slightly irritable today. But when I watched that Perez Hilton video, did you watch it? Mm-mm. Oh, it was something that your boyfriend sent us. But basically Perez Hilton was,
I did.
Yeah, he was like the 9-year-old boy that Diddy diddled. Was
such an unfortunate.
The parents, so I guess he lured him in by promising him a
record deal,
mm-hmm. And the parents sent him off. And as a parent, I gotta say, listen, I there's nothing I hate more than parents who judge other parents, because none of us are perfect. We're all trying, but like, what happened there? Why do you leave your 9-year-old with a man with endless power? I just feel like that is rule number 1 of being a parent. You don't leave your kid. I mean, I think maybe times have changed a little bit.
Times have definitely changed.
This was in the 90s, and or maybe like early 2000s. I won't let Remy even go to a sleepover. Like when I think about all honestly, the way I learned about all the things I was too young to know about, and anytime a bad thing happened, it was always at a sleepover party.
I remember having a sleepover and something weird happened, and I told Dad, and Dad was like, you are never sleeping at that house ever again, because it was with the girl's dad, and it was just like a weird thing, and I just like told Dad about it, and he was like, never again are you going to that house.
No, I was telling my friend about a sleepover party where, you know, one of the cousins was like, let's play doctor. And then like, you're like, oh, let me like, or like hide and seek in the dark, where like you have to feel the person's body to guess who it is. This is my friend said this is what they were doing with like their neighbors. And it's like, oh, it's flat chested, must be so-and-so. Like,
that's bizarre.
No, I know, but kids left to their own devices. They're curious. And the older ones are always like the dynamic of like,
well, I'm going to now bring this back to the Menendez brothers, because
hold on. We're not ready for Menendez. You can say it, but we need to finish. We need to wrap up.
Well, because it's about like sleepovers, and like they had a cousin over who was a girl. She was 14, and they tied her up and like I think took her shirt off or something like that. This was mentioned in the documentary that just came out.
Wait, I just saw the real documentary. Like the one where they're actually in it.
No, I haven't watched that one yet. This was.
So this isn't. That's not a documentary. The one where they actually like where there's actors.
I've been watching like so many things. I can't remember which one this is specifically from. But it was a cousin that they tied up and they like took her shirt off. But when she started yelling like stop, they stopped. But like, does that not tell you that that is like kind of a learned behavior of somebody that was abused as a child? Like normal kids don't tie up their cousin and take their cousin's shirt off. You have to like learn that somehow.
I would agree, but this is the age-old question of nature versus nurture. Like, are people just born being sick like this? And I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah,
I don't know. But with Diddy, so these parents were like, probably had, you know, grand dreams for their child. 9-year-old, this guy wants to, you know, wants this kid to come in for an audition. The parents leave him, and supposedly he molested him. I don't know what the details were. Maybe I blacked it out, but I forget what the details were. But now I guess 3,000 people came forward to this lawyer who's taking over the prosecution side, and 120 cases are being filed. Another 15-year-old. Well, this was the part that was the most striking to me, is that like this 15-year-old who's suing as well, remembers going to a party of his, was drugged, raped, and passed around.
I think that's what was going on.
To other people.
Yeah.
And these other people are now going to be mentioned. And
Good.
But what were you talking about with the Paul Walker?
Oh, this is Michael brought up that Paul Walker's girlfriend, they dated for 7 years, and she was 16 and he was 33 when they started dating.
I feel like that's illegal.
Is it? Nikki,
100%
you're a lawyer.
illegal. Oh, I think if you're 16 and you get parental consent, it's legal in some
It might,
states.
16 might be the age of consent, actually.
No,
So
18 is. I mean, 18
I
is,
think it
but I
depends
think
on
you
the
can
state.
get parent.
Yeah, I don't know if that was necessarily anything predatory, but that is an interesting age gap. Like that's young.
Oh, so this had nothing. The Paul Walker thing had nothing to do with
Nothing to
Diddy.
do with Diddy. No, he was just like in a rabbit hole of like inappropriate relations.
Yeah. So all this stuff going on with Diddy right now is so disturbing, but in a way, I'm actually feeling hopeful that all of this is going to be exposed. Because you remember during like, I don't even remember when it was like all the stuff started coming out about how Hollywood has this underground child sex trafficking thing. Like we've been hearing about that for a few
scary out here.
years.
And I think that they're like literally about to expose it because everybody's connected. I am so interested about the Ashton Kutcher involvement here because you know that he also went to go pick up a date and she was stabbed like 35 times, like dead in her house.
By a serial killer, though.
But his prints were on the inside of the door. I'm not saying he did it. Like they caught the guy that did it. But I'm like, what happened here? Why are your fingerprints on the inside of the door?
I don't know. The being stabbed that many times feels inconsistent with the way all of the other people in his life died.
No,
And
I
this,
do.
like,
I think those were
pneumonia.
completely separate situations. But it's just like that's an interesting. The fact that you were there and you were also. It's just like all of this stuff is being brought up now that you're like that's just so weird. I never knew that about him.
Yeah, I don't know.
And aren't he and Mila Kunis now separated?
But then people saw them in like out together somewhere. But now there's also the conspiracy that that Ben Affleck found something out about J-Lo, thinks she's going to get sued, so divorced her before he would be financially liable in any way.
And that's why they're still hanging out?
No, Ben Affleck and J-Lo aren't hanging out.
Yeah.
Oh, they are?
They were seen smooching.
Oh my God.
I can't keep track.
Well, I can't keep track either because I find him to be so LOL. Like people saw him at people were taking pictures of him at Beverly Hills Hotel. He went there for lunch and Beverly Hills Hotel.
This is where you go to be seen.
This is where you go to be seen. If you're famous and you don't want paparazzi in your face, like don't go to Beverly Hills. And then he's like, oh, get away from me with the cameras. Oh my God. It's like, go somewhere else.
Don't leave your house. Don't leave your compound. Have Beverly Hills Hotel come to you because you can actually ask for that. I mean, like it doesn't make sense.
There's a way to be famous discreetly. 100%. You don't need to go to like Craig's and
I know
and ask for privacy.
Where you literally call up your paparazzi and ask them to sit at the front door and wait for you to get there, and then like, oh my God, these photos came out. What? Crazy. It's not. It's so fake, but.
So fake. Okay, so there's that. Now, speaking of child sexual abuse, which is not the topic I usually like to talk about, but the Menendez brothers, what do you think about that?
It's interesting because I watched this whole series with Michael, my boyfriend.
Which series? Because there's several.
The new one. That's the like recreation of.
Okay.
And so my boyfriend is a lawyer, so he's taking all of this legally. And we realize like they committed the crime, therefore they should be in prison. I have a different perspective where I don't think they should have gotten life without parole. I think they should have got charged with manslaughter because I think it's very clear that they were abused. Yeah,
I mean, considering that they were very like pretty well, one brother more than the other. One brother was for I think between ages of 6 and 8. And then that brother actually assaulted his brother, which is very common of a young child to then act on another child that they're a little older than. He apologized. I mean, obviously apology is not going to take it back, but he apologized like on the stand. But then the younger brother was then abused his entire life by the dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying that the day that they planned the murder of their parents, the brother who was assaulted for his entire life told the older brother. The older brother confronted the dad. I guess the dad said that the younger brother was not allowed to go away to college, that he was going to go to UCLA and live at home. So he felt, whether or not it was real or not, he felt he was never going to escape from his family's home and always have to endure this abuse.
Yeah.
See, I feel like people say like, oh, he's 18, he could leave, he wasn't stuck there, he was not in imminent danger, he could get away. But I think they're not really seeing the mental trap that was built for him. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean the mental trap?
Like he thought he had been abused so badly his entire life, he could not fathom not doing what his dad said. You know, he couldn't.
You don't
fathom
go against
leaving.
your abuser. That's like a form of Stockholm syndrome, I feel like.
Right.
Like you do what you're told, and after so many years, it's like
it's
you don't even know it's wrong
anymore.
anymore.
It's not a choice at that point anymore either. It's not like he had a choice to leave and he didn't leave. He mentally could not fathom any other way than
you have like the mental toll that obviously years of abuse took on these kids. And do you remember? Did you watch the new series, the Recreation one?
I watched a part of it. I watched 2 episodes.
This is my problem with things that are recreated, especially I think Ryan Murphy just had so many fails with this. But like there are certain parts where because it's recreated, did this actually happen? And their defense or their attorney had a case in this recreation on Netflix where she got this guy off for just like cold blood murdering his girlfriend because he had child abuse he was abused as a child. So she used that to get him off with manslaughter. And this attorney that they had was going to do the same thing for them. Obviously it didn't go that way. But in my mind, that case, this man just cold-blooded murdered his girlfriend, and they have records of him abusing her up until he killed her, and he got off with manslaughter. How did these guys not?
Well, I mean, I think comparing one case to another case.
But if he can plead insanity, they should have been able to.
If who can plead
pleading insanity by, I get it. I wish Michael was here. He knows the correct terminology. But like,
I get what you're saying. I think that was obviously justice was not served with the man who I agree. Who killed the wife. But I don't think that man should have gotten off. And I think the Menendez brothers should have.
But my point is, it shows how backwards the justice system is, especially because when they had their second trial, it was an election year. I wish you watched so you could fact check me here, but I believe it was like the district attorney was going to either be elected or reelected, and they wanted this case gone.
Yeah.
So they were just like, you guys did it by.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many politics involved in it. I think they are going to relook at the case though now because of everything that's come out. So what they said with the Menendez case is that there can be a situation where self-defense is when you feel like you are in imminent danger right away. However, there's another form of self-defense where even though you weren't in imminent danger, if you felt that you were wrongfully or rightfully so, that still can now count as involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
Because it's true, they weren't going to be killed in that moment if they didn't shoot their parents, but they were so mentally deranged from the long-term abuse
they used shotguns.
Actually felt that they had no freedom left, which is what I would consider to be a life in danger.
Yeah. And the book that was referenced a lot in this trial was about parenticide, like killing your parents, and how when it's done by children who have been abused, which is typical, there's overkill. Like they kill them beyond the point of being killed because there's so much emotion behind it, like passion behind the kill, that they do it to in like a really like extreme extent, which is exactly what happened. Their parents were shot multiple times, and with shotguns. Like that's not the weapon that you would use if you were like intelligent enough to really plan.
It isn't?
No, it's like little beads that burst. Like you have to shoot at point blank range for it to even like really like Michael explained it as if you were like 50 yards away and you shot like an 18-wheeler, like the beads would just kind of go like that, and it really wouldn't make much of a, because a shotgun is like a little cylinder and there's little beads in it. And when they explode, but they're used for like,
so it's almost like a bomb.
Yes, but there's two types. There's probably more than two types, but the two types that they had were, one was for birds, killing a bird, not very strong, and then there's one for like killing like deer. And they were using that type of round at first, but then their mom wasn't dying, and so they went and reloaded and they used like bird pellet. They're like different size. Like it's just not the weapon that you would use to execute a human.
Yeah.
It's really, and it explodes. So it like a lot of.
But you know what? Also, I thought was a little bit. One of the things that I really feel like shot them in the foot, bad, no pun intended, was that
nobody was actually shot in the foot.
Was that after the murder was committed, one of them went out and bought a Porsche. They were like
Rolexes.
Bought a bunch of Rolexes. It kind of reminded me of, you remember the Amanda, not Amanda Bynes, Amanda. Yeah, remember the Amanda Knox case?
Is she the one from Italy?
She was the one who, her roommate in Italy studying abroad was murdered, and everybody thought it was her. It ended up being that it was, I don't know if they 100% proved this, but they exonerated Amanda. It wasn't her, and whether or not they were able to convict this other guy, they found like male DNA, and it was not obviously Amanda's. But her behavior after this murder took place was so strange that people were like, that's why they were like, it had to have been her. She's such a weirdo. She was like in the courtroom with like a boyfriend, and they were like making out and giggling and like acting all,
that's weird. That's
weird. Just like not acting like somebody who's either like mourning or respecting that other people are mourning or that somebody's died.
I don't even want to give any credit to that situation, because what just came to my mind was Lacey Peterson and how Scott Peterson, after she was murdered, his behavior was like super weird and like no remorse, like, and then everybody in his defense was saying you never know how you're going to respond to such tragedy. And with the Amanda Knox thing, like you're just saying that, and the Menendez brothers also with their spending, like it is weird that people, you would just expect a certain reaction, but I guess you really don't. But also the three examples that I just mentioned are very different. So like,
you don't know, and also you don't, maybe these people really did want the other person dead.
Well, that's
maybe
what
they're
I'm
really
saying.
not sad, but it doesn't mean they did it. But you know, Scott Peterson is being retried.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, never in a million years did I ever think he didn't do it.
Yeah, but now
there's some evidence that I'm like,
I know.
Did you know that like 7 or 8 pregnant women went missing in that area within the 3 years of Lacey going missing, and they showed up in the same way with just a torso?
Really?
Yes. That's for me the one thing that I'm like, is this just the most unlucky man in the entire world? Or did he do it? Or did he copy those cases?
Oh, I don't know. But like, how would we ever know?
I know.
The police really messed that up. You know that they lied about, there was a robbery across the street from her. They tried to say it happened the day after Christmas, when there was like dozens of news people like parked on the lawn for days. Like nobody was robbing a house with like all those people on the street.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a crime is easier to commit when there's
no, because they caught the robbers, and the robbers said that they had put a safe out on the front lawn of this house. Like people would have noticed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other situation. I'm interested. I mean, imagine if he didn't do that, Scott Peterson.
He's the most unlucky human on the planet.
Yeah, but he didn't seem like the nicest guy. He was cheating.
He seemed like a sociopath for sure.
Yeah.
He was at her vigil telling his mistress that he was looking at fireworks over the Eiffel Tower.
Oh my God.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Remember we talked about this? The more detailed the lie.
Yeah. The more detailed the lie, the more likely it's to probably not be true. So do you think the Menendez brothers should have life in prison or death penalty?
No, I definitely don't think the death penalty. It's sad because I feel like they should have been sentenced in a way that would have been more rehabilitative. Like those are two men that need deep therapy and like a different type of, I think, rehabilitation versus like just being shoved in prison for the rest of their life. Like it's been 27 years since they went to prison. Like they could have been helped so much further along if they had been, I think, given proper like tools and a different type of imprisonment. Like, when somebody goes to prison but they've pled insane, so they have like a different type. It's kind of like a psychiatric prison.
I feel like those are the people who are in solitary confinement. You need to watch the documentary that I watched because it's with the
new one
real
that just came
Menendez
out.
brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and they are rehabilitated.
What do you mean?
Like they've actually used their prison time very well.
Well, then I stand by my decision. Yes, we should let them out.
Yeah, I feel like we should let them out. I feel like 30
I think it
years
is scary that
enough.
somebody's been in prison for a long time, because like that's
I think
scary.
the whole reason behind prison, okay, yes, it's for justice for the people who are murdered, and I feel like the real victim of the whole thing is that mother. No, I take it back. The mother stood by, let her child
She
get
knew
it.
what was going on.
She knew what was going on, but she wasn't the one committing the actual abuse. And did she know what was going on?
Well,
I don't know.
Kitty is also an abuse victim, because Jose is an abuser.
Yeah.
He was abusing her too. Didn't one of the boys say that he walked in on his dad raping their mom?
Oh.
Like, this man was a monster. And also the Menudo band, the band that Jose like acquired, one of them came out in 2023 saying that Jose drugged and raped him.
Oh my God.
Like, the man was a monster. He's a monster. So I think both the boys and Kitty are not.
I know. Yeah, she was definitely a victim too. But
she tried to take her
God.
own life. Like, that's not a.
I can't imagine. I mean, that she was so far gone that she couldn't defend her. She didn't care to defend her children. I mean, that's the boys' argument. That's the Menendez brothers' argument that like the mom was trying to die anyway, so they were kind of like helping her along.
Did you? The one thing that just came to my mind was they do have on record with Kitty's psychiatrist that she had said that she's afraid of her children.
Interesting.
That she thought they were psychopaths. Which, I mean, I think that is how you make a psychopath.
I mean, let's not forget also they do have half that dad's DNA.
Well, see, this is, I think, the question of like, should you release them? Should you not? Like, regardless of why they are the way they are, which is so sad that they were the things that happened to them, a psychopath is a psychopath.
But are they psychopaths?
Can you rehabilitate a psychopath?
No.
I mean, I don't know.
They're born that way.
Can you be a conditional psychopath? Like, you're just a psychopath toward one person, like your abusive father, but not other people?
No. A psychopath is a whole personality. It's not like an act.
Yeah.
It's not like you can just turn it off.
But like, how do you make a psychopath? What is the recipe to make a psychopath?
I think you're born a psychopath.
That's debatable. I think it's nature versus nurture, but
I mean, obviously there's things like any like serial killer psychology like that you look into, especially men who have violent crimes against women, like they always got a mommy issue.
Exactly. But then there's also got to be something with the wires getting crossed, because a lot of men have also have like mommy issues, but they don't go and murder women. Mm-hmm. Like,
but I think also one of the other interesting things is that when you think about real deep trauma, like trauma from like, let's say being horribly abused by one of your parents, and then now you have a child, trauma is inherited. Trauma changes your DNA, and then now you have a child. And they've done studies before where like separated at birth, like, you know, the son goes up for adoption and then like they have like the same criminal history as the dad that they never knew. But it was like their biological
Jose
dad.
was abused as a child.
I'm sure. And he grew up in Cuba, like, and lost everything. But I mean, a lot of people did, and
they didn't.
Not all of them.
That. Yeah. No, that is
pretty uplifting episode we got going on today. So, okay, so we think free the Menendez brothers. Are we pro free them? I think
How long is a manslaughter sentence?
I think like 30 years. I just made that up, but I'm pretty sure. Like,
I think there are worse people
seems
on the
legit
streets.
to me. I feel like
I don't think they had a fair trial. I don't. So I think they are entitled to another trial.
I think they're entitled to another trial as well, especially in this new culture that we have of really considering what were they in fear of, and was their self-protection legitimate based on what they thought to be true in their messed up brain at that time.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I do think it's interesting that, I mean, they are just lumped in as one, like the Menendez brothers, but like, I don't think they're equal. I really don't. I think Eric is much more, I think he kind of got.
Eric's the older one.
No, the younger one.
Oh,
Eric's the one that was abused his entire life.
Oh.
And Lyle is the older one who, at least the way it's been depicted, was a little bit more concerning. Like,
he was like the heavy spend. Like Eric was the one that couldn't handle it and like broke down to the psychiatrist and was like, I killed my parents. Like I think there was coercion.
Yeah, but Eric's the one who had the idea.
I know.
And the one who went to Lyle and was like, I'm being abused. Let's do this. Let's go buy shotguns.
I don't know.
In San Diego.
I don't know. I think they're not, I don't think it's fair to like to have sentenced somebody like the exact same.
Yeah, I think they deserved. They both killed their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about some of the crimes that people commit just currently in the state of California,
I know
there are people who violently rape women, go to prison, and then are like literally are out like within months sometimes.
Yeah, no.
I think to look at it like the law, it's like that horrible father, as much as we all wanted him dead, his life was not theirs to take. So,
well, that's ironic that then we were like, give them the death penalty. Let's take their lives. Like, no, I don't know. Like,
I know.
I mean, they obviously didn't get the death penalty, but the fact that it was a capital murder crime, like they were going for the death penalty.
You know what I thought was so interesting too? Watching that documentary, the new one, and seeing how the culture responded. Like, I'm talking Oprah, I'm talking Jay
Kimmy
Leno.
K.
I'm talking Kim was like.
Oh, you mean in real time?
No. I'm talking about back then.
Oh, okay. When
all this went down in like the early 90s. And you see how Oprah responded, Jay Leno, all these like really like big names. They were all, none of them believed them.
No one did. They thought they were psychopaths that killed their parents for money.
And they said, oh, you've been abused. Like they would make fun of like the sexual abuse thing, where it's like now the culture is believe
the victim,
the abuser.
Yeah, because abusers are highly manipulative and they're able to coerce people to, like, first of all, Jose Menendez, clearly narcissistic, the way that he was able to control the situations, and like nobody was allowed to know what was going on in the inside of their house, like painted this persona of such a successful person. Granted, everybody would testify that he was a bully, but then nobody would go as far to say he was abusive to his children, which makes no sense. Because people with power are able to manipulate.
But they had cousins and aunts and uncles. Even the mom's sister was like, yeah, she knew and didn't say anything. Like,
yeah, it's sick.
None of them, all of the relatives of the mom and the dad are like, believe the boys.
And they just found a letter from, or they probably found it years ago, but it's now just surfacing. Eric wrote his cousin like 8-9 months before the murder saying, I'm afraid of dad at night. It's still happening. Like, I'm afraid he's going to come in and like blah, blah, blah. Like, what more proof do you need?
I know. Yeah,
and
he was afraid.
Eric has a medical record of a bruise in the back of his throat from tripping on a popsicle.
Ugh, that's disgusting.
Gross.
Well, let's see what the retrial looks like. And also the Scott Peterson. When are they?
The Innocence Project is taking it on. I'm so interested to see how that
the Innocence
goes.
Project. Okay, we will be following that.
I mean, it is crazy. Technically, there was no evidence against him and he got convicted.
Yeah.
No, like evidence that really holds up in court. But meanwhile, it kind of looks like he did it.
Yeah. Being a jerk doesn't make you a murderer.
Being a cheater doesn't always make you a murderer.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah. Sometimes you could be both. Okay. Let's listen to the voicemail.
Hi, good morning. I wanted to know your thoughts on siblings and infidelity. So, essentially, if one of your siblings cheated on their spouse, and you considered that spouse to be, your sibling as well, not just an in-law, whose side do you take? What do you do? And how do you handle it? I would love to know.
I have so many thoughts.
Oh my gosh.
I have so many thoughts. Okay. Say you were still married to Mikey. I mean, I loved Mikey.
You take it to the fucking grave. That's what you do, bitch.
Well, I'm operating under the assumption that people are aware of this situation. Like,
oh, okay. So did you?
She's talking about it on a podcast. I think people know.
No. I don't think people know. I think she's saying like her sister told her that she cheated on her husband.
That's tough. Okay, well, we'll answer this in two ways. If it is out there and it is known,
you're a fucking cheater. Sorry. Like, I'm not going to be like, claps for you. Like, you did a shitty thing. And I'm going to be disappointed in you for doing that.
Right.
But if I only knew and no one else knew and you're my sister, do I have to take that to the grave?
Yes. Can I answer that for you?
I know. You really do if it's your sister. Oh, but I would say I am mad at you for putting me in that position, and you are a disappointment.
You were a disappointment to the family.
You were a disappointment to the family. How could you do that to your non-existent husband?
I mean, I think the conversation to be had here is, do you plan on making this a habit?
Yeah, was it a one-time thing? Is this an affair? I would probably tell you that you need to tell him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell him myself, but I would definitely be like, you need to tell him, because I mean, I don't fuck with cheating. I think that's a really shitty thing to do, and like just own up and apologize and handle the consequences.
Right. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Because having this kind of happen to me, there's nothing worse than finding out that there's been a secret that other people have known about.
Exactly.
Because it makes you, it's never the same with those people. So like, for instance, if you cheated on Michael and then like I knew about it and then he found out later and found out that I had known like the whole time, then now he looks at me kind of like, oh, well, you just were acting. Like, then you think about all the times you saw that person and you're just like, wow, you knew this secret about me and you were just smiling away.
Well, that's the other thing. The truth always comes out. Like, might not be the day it happened, might not be the next week, might not be the next month, maybe, but like it always comes out. Mm-hmm. So just own it, apologize, and if you want to make it work, that's really honestly up to the person that was cheated on if they want to make it work, I think, because like you're the problem in the relationship now. Like, there are trust issues because of you.
Right.
But if you are not able to take accountability and apologize, you're probably a psycho. Like,
yeah,
you're
but I
probably
also
a narcissist.
think that like you and Michael get married, you cheat on him, like you tell me, I'm going to encourage you to do all those things, but I'm not going to be like, I'm going to tell him if you don't. Like, I'm going to be like...
for you...
And then if you never decide to tell him, I'm not going to tell him, but
That makes me nauseous to think about. I honestly, like, couldn't... That makes me so nauseous to think about.
Let's not pretend somebody else, not Michael, a different person.
But no, like, living with that secret. Like, I really don't get how people could do that. I remember when I was in college...
People do it. Oh, they do
people
it.
People do. I know. No, I know. Everybody's different. It's just crazy. But I remember when I was in college... The night that my college boyfriend cheated on me, I had a dream that I cheated on him, and I woke up sick to my stomach. I was like, oh, I feel so guilty. And then I found out. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Why? Me feeling guilty for shit I didn't do. But is that not also like an omen? Like, something was off. The universe was telling me just, you got it a little backwards.
I know. I definitely think that, but that is sad, because I think what she's experiencing, that sister, is kind of like, it's almost like when your parents cheat on each other. It sounds like she's really close with both of them. And like now she feels like her family's being broken up. Yeah. So she's mad at the sister because it's like if your mom cheats on your dad and and you're like...
I know. And that's the family connections are what make this really difficult. I would 100% try to get your sister to just confess, because it's gonna come out. Like, it always does. Like, there's devil always leaves a piece of his tail behind. And if this wasn't a family situation, like, when you find out that like girls have been cheated on and it's like, this information, and you're like, I always want to tell.
Same. You know me.
I usually find a way to just like pepper it in through the grapevine.
That's not a way to do it. I know some well, of course you don't know what's gossip and what's real, so you can't.
Well, you have to have you can't just be starting rumors.
I know. But I mean, in my little town, there's gossip around about. Just wait till you have kids in like preschool and stuff. There's always the gossip about like, oh, he cheats on her, and like she's blah blah blah.
I think a lot of times women know, and they just.
That's the okay. I know a woman who. She lives with somebody, and he has a baby that lives in another country with another woman, and now all of our friend group knows about
she doesn't
this,
know.
And she doesn't know, but half of the friend group thinks she does know.
She has to know.
That she knows.
She has to know.
But maybe she doesn't know.
I mean, maybe. And I have to say, like, there is
I think there's a lot of delusion and denial that goes into just like maintaining your version of this life that you're living, even though it's not reality, because as soon as you pop that bubble, like your life changes. And I think a lot of women just are like, whatever, it's fine, it's a phase, or I don't know. But like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't mess with that.
I don't mess with that. If you're lying to me, bye.
Bye. Yeah.
But you got to figure it out first, because sometimes you don't always know that they're lying to you.
So I say don't be a snitch, but strongly encourage the sibling to be honest, because that's not fair of that sibling to ask you to hold a secret.
Like, imagine
that you're struggling with.
If we knew that like Pete cheated on Katie. I couldn't live with myself. That's actually a good analogy. I couldn't live with myself.
No, me neither.
I would probably tell Pete, you tell her, I will. I would threaten. I would say, you tell her or I will.
Yeah, I know. We all would.
We would. It's okay. So,
but we wouldn't actually tell her. We'd be like, we're gonna.
I think I have a chip on my shoulder towards men, because honestly, I would tell on Pete, but I probably wouldn't tell on you.
Maybe we might leave her. We'd probably like leave her.
Yes, I'd leave his phone unlocked.
Yeah,
you know. But that's what I mean by like.
Yeah, because you don't want to get yourself in trouble, but like you need them to have.
Who told her? She just found out.
Yeah,
I think a lot of girls. It's interesting because I feel like nobody wants to be the snitch, because you feel like you're kind of inserting yourself into someone else's relationship. It's not your place.
And snitches get stitches.
But I've had girls snitch to me, and like I'm so grateful to this girl, because like she gave me a type of closure that I would have never got from this person.
Somebody snitched about
a Mikey.
Yeah,
I've had multiple girls come forward.
That's what Finstas are for. That's how you can use a Finsta.
But I have to say, I've had 2 girls come forward that it was their real Instagrams. It was their real. Well, I mean, one of them just texted me, but like actually knowing them and like seeing a face to the name.
Yeah,
it gives you closure that like you wouldn't have otherwise had, because all you want in a situation like that is some form of like
to not feel crazy on top of it.
On top of it. So that's why sometimes I do lean towards maybe being a little bit of a snitch. But if it's a sibling, that's complicated.
Yeah, that is. Okay, good luck to you, sister. We wish you all the best.
Yeah, you got this.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Sophie. Next time you come, we are going to be talking about something
happier,
just a little bit happier.
Yeah. And maybe we'll get to these questions because we didn't answer anybody's questions, which always happens. We never get through
We had too many dark, horrible things to talk about today. But next time, definitely next time. Thanks for listening. Over and out.